Now, back to the morning roast with Bonte and Shasky.
All right. 2.5 hours down, 90 minutes to go. Talk a little Dubs here with Sam Amick in just a second. NBA senior writer for The Athletic. Does a lot of great work. He was in Sacktown last night as the Bucks put it on the Kings. The Bucks scored 80 points in the second half last night. Giannis went crazy his first game back after missing a few with the hand injury. 46 points for Giannis, 31 for Chris Middleton. And they hold off Sacramento. Had some drama at the end of the game between Brook Lopez and Trey Lyles. And, Mike Brown said after the game, we'll play this out in just a second, where he basically said, we're not no punks. We're not going to take no stuff from anybody. Good on Sacramento as they're in third place in the Western Conference, a game behind the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Shasky, but John Morant is going to rehab, going to counseling in Florida. And you know what? It's a good first step for him. Show us with your actions. I don't root for people to stay down. What he doing was reckless, but he is young. He's 23 years old. But he's going out there to seek help, and he's going to go to counseling. No timetable for his return, but he's taking that big first step to try to get help and try to right the ship. Still got a lot of career left in him. He's one of the finest young players in the NBA. I'm proud of John for taking that step to get help.
It's a necessary first step, and that, to me, signals that on some level he is self-aware and willing to face up to these things. Now, obviously, what level he's at, everyone's at different spots in their life when they enter. It's the mindset that you got to have, and it's going to be a journey for him. I mean, yep. I don't even know what he's going in for, right? I'm just going off of seeing my own family and what I've had to go through in my own life, removing yourself from situations, seeking the help that you need, the time away, and then trying to create a set of boundaries for yourself and different principles to live by that reset your brain moving forward.
Let's bring in Sam Amick, national NBA writer for The Athletic. He does a great job. He's been covering the NBA for 2 decades. One of the good guys out there, man. Always love talking ball with Sam Amick. He was in Sac last night at the Golden One Center where Milwaukee put on the show in that second half in a very enjoyable basketball game. Had some drama at the end. Sam, my man, good morning, man. Welcome back to the roast.
Gentlemen, what's going on? Appreciate you having me. Apologies for the late night, a little groggy this morning, but we're ready.
Sam, your boy's all 5 hours of sleep, man. I mean, these games are getting longer and longer. Commercials get longer and longer. When I found out the Warriors were also on ESPN, I said, damn it. I mean, these commercials are going to be 3.5 minutes instead of 2.5 minutes, but it's all good. Let's start off with John Morant. Let's pick up there. John Morant taking that step to get counseling. No timetable for his return. But you know what? I applaud the young man for saying, you know what? I need to step away. I need to get help. And that's good for him long-term in his NBA future.
Yeah, Bonte, I agree. I know, like you guys said, we don't have clarity exactly on, kind of the specific approach and what he's dealing with. I do think it's fair and accurate to say that, that the drinking is something that's been a focus with him. And, I don't know. We'll see what the timeline is. We'll see what the spirit is, meaning that, before everything went down with what he posted on social media and some of the different controversies that he had been attached to, he'd been pretty defiant as far as his messaging. And, a lot of pushback, a lot of, you guys remember the social media posts about everything being capped. And, to see the shift, there's a sobering reality, no pun intended, that comes with, when you make a mistake like you did and post what you post, the NBA is going to escalate everything, law enforcement involved at that point. So, like you said, though, I do think plenty of time for him to turn this thing around, get his career back on track. The guy's an incredible basketball player. And honestly, by all accounts, like a really good teammate, a guy that is elevating his team and is about the right things as a player in that locker room. So I certainly hope that he turns it around.
Sam, it's interesting because today's the day we celebrate Steph Curry's 35th birthday. He's getting up there in age. LeBron James breaks Kareem's record this year, most points ever. He's getting up there in age. I remember a time 20-something years ago when Michael Jordan was leaving the league, and we were worried about who would take the mantle of a star-driven league. And I'm looking around the landscape, and I'm saying, like, Ja's really one of the few American-born superstars ready to take the mantle. How important is it for the league, not just Ja himself, but for the league, that he is one of their faces moving forward?
It is big, and that's the stuff that, the league not transparently, discuss or admit, because, they got to just act as if everything is, universal in terms of how they litigate and how they handle their players. But you're naive if you don't think that that's part of the unofficial calculus here. You know what I mean? Like, in this day and age with Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo and all these international players taking over the game, it is a good thing for the league to also have some high-level elite American-born players, just, in terms of kind of checking as many boxes as you can from a business marketing standpoint. And Ja, and the way he competes and the way he plays and the way he elevates and as incredibly quick as he is and dynamic, the guy is just absolute box office popcorn basketball player. And, for the league's purposes, to kind of lose that when you're going, all right, but now you've created an environment where the optics are so suboptimal that we don't really know how to package this anymore. That's the danger of this situation for him, career-wise, professionally, financially, marketing-wise, all those things.
Sam Amick here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Well said there, Sam. As we look at the Warriors, and we'll get to the Kings and Bucks in just a second. The Warriors, of course, beat the Bucks Saturday night. Of course, that was without Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they survived there, rallying in the last 2 minutes to send that game to overtime. When you look at this Warriors team, if they could get wholesome, how dangerous are they? And that's the biggest question, right? Can they ever be wholesome? They haven't been wholesome all season long. Kuminga's out. Wiggins is away from the team. We have no clarity on that. GP2 will be reevaluated in 10 days. But if they do get wholesome right before the playoffs, how dangerous do you think they are this season with all the teams that have gotten better? Sac's gotten better. Phoenix has gotten better. The Clippers have gotten better. Where do you see the Warriors fall into place here in the West?
For me, guys, you can't sleep on them. Obviously, it's the Dynasty Warriors. But I think where I have finally settled is no Andrew Wiggins, no championship. That's baseline.
Yep.
No Andrew Wiggins, probably no, not even any deep playoff contention, no deep playoff run. That Bucks game was a good example where it's just listen, Steph was incredible, obviously late. I had a conversation with Giannis post-game that I'll publish in a couple of days here, where he talked about Steph and he talked about what he did. He was just amazed. And he goes, what Steph Curry just did, that was art. And that reminds me of what we do. That was art. Kept calling it art, and he's right. But there is a limit to what Steph Curry's art and what some of these other guys, what they can do collectively without the type of roster construction that they had last year when they won the whole thing. So they'll be dangerous. Let's say hypothetically, I know we're going to get to the Kings in a minute. Let's say there was a Kings-Warriors first-round series. Right. Well, even with no Andrew Wiggins, Kings probably in trouble there, I think.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Sam. Kings are – I think that's probably the best matchup for the Warriors, but the Kings are dangerous.
They are. And I've been wearing this hat all year. As you know, I live in this neck of the woods. I've been up here forever. This is a very old school reference. Our buddy Anthony Slater covers the Warriors for The Athletic. Gave me a hard time the other day. Major League 2, there was the old Randy Quaid character with early on, he was just the guy in the stands constantly saying they're going to blow it. They're going to blow it. That's me with the Kings all year because I've seen so much bad basketball. So I'm a little cynical and, because of the history. But point being, the Warriors are going to scare somebody from the good team area down without Wiggins. But, as far as them getting a fifth chip with this group, they got to get that guy back.
Well, it's interesting, Sam. You're a journalist that I hold in high regard, right? I am not a journalist. And so talking about the Wiggins thing has been filled with landmines. I'm afraid of saying something that is insensitive or something that I might regret or whatever. But I can't think of anything that comes close because we don't know what's going on. And in this day and age, it's very unprecedented. So from a journalist perspective, what are the many thoughts when we talk about Wiggins? What are the things that are coming to your mind? Because we don't know what the issue is. Yet the team really needs him. At some point, I think he's coming back, but I don't know. Do you get where I'm going with this? It's very odd.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. And we're in a similar boat. I know people, who might, those folks out there who might not like media that much or reporters that much might assume that, I don't know, we just run around looking for the most salacious, provocative story every day of the week. That's not how the vast majority of us are cut, and we are human beings who have sensitivities. And so to that point with Andrew, I would say that, one of the things, and we actually talked to some Warriors people about this the other day, like you read the room, right? And you start with the locker room. And all right, on background, you would call it. So it's, it's not off the record, but you're just learning from different people and players. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, how do his teammates feel about this? Not just what they say in the press conference, but like, can you catch them on the side and get a better sense of like, are they really okay with, him being away as far as it being excused, or is there like a rising sense of frustration that they're just not sharing? And to this point, it has been the former, that they have supported him. Then you kind of look at management, you look at the coaching staff, and you look at ownership. And I think the story's been covered the way it has been largely because the Warriors continue to send a message that, certainly you hear things about, what might be going on, but the organization deciding that they are 100% rocking with him and not, having it be a mystery why he's out and being frustrated why he's out, that to an extent dictates the coverage. But the fan component, I do think at this point is coming into play as well. Like, the fan frustration and people just being in the dark, that's part of the calculus too.
It's interesting as we're talking to Sam Amick here on the Morning Roast. You talk to Giannis, and I can't wait for that story to drop. You always have good features here. What do you think happens in Milwaukee if Milwaukee flames out early in the playoffs? And by early, I mean second round, because obviously they have championship aspirations. Middleton's getting a little older. He's not moving the same, although he did look good last night, scored 31 points. Drew Holiday, tough player, offensively can be erratic at times. What's Giannis' long-term future look like in Milwaukee?
It's a great question, Bonte. I think, they just changed, or they are changing
ownership.
Yeah. And that's a big deal because honestly, going into this year, the kind of the sense that I had gotten was that they had made a choice, to not extend Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, two guys that are massive parts of their core. Now, Middleton, all of a sudden, he's got a player option for next year. He's up this summer. That matters. And, I think the short answer to your question is if their core starts to fall apart, I think inevitably the conversation about what is Giannis's future will be, quickly thereafter. Mm-hmm. And I think it's fair. Although on a lighter note, this cracked me up last night at the game, in the Bucks locker room, and Jay Crowder is going back to Phoenix tonight for the first time
since
this whole saga. and Giannis, and he was just being playful, but he said to Jay in the locker room, he's just like, Jay, going to Phoenix, they're gonna boo you, man. They're gonna boo you. And he's like, that's why I'm never leaving Milwaukee. F that. I don't want to get booed. But I'm also kind of going, oh, come on, yeah. Like, I'm not sure that's true.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, that's a very valid point. It's not only guys getting older. It's is new ownership going to pay the luxury tax to that level? It's very kind of Warriors-esque, honestly. Like, the way the Warriors questions are kind of staring them in the face this summer. There's some parallels there.
It feels like leading into the All-Star game itself, there was so much talk about the league is nobody's playing, nobody's trying hard. Like everyone's losing their minds. This last sprint for the last couple of weeks has been awesome. Yeah. I mean, it really has been awesome. Like, as someone who's covered the game a long time, I feel like we're primed for the most open-ended championship that I can remember in a long time. Like, if you told me 6 or 7 different teams won it, I'd believe you. And I can't remember the last time I've thought that way.
Yeah, although I will say, and I got recency bias, watching those Bucks last night, I was like, oh, boy, I think these are the champs. They look really, really good. But, yes, there's a ton of parity. There are absolutely, and it's not only parity, there's a bunch of teams where around the time the playoffs start, and I do not remember this ever happening, we are potentially going to have some absolute all-NBA elite basketball players returning to their teams, right when the playoffs begin. And I'm talking about a familiar face in Kevin Durant with the Suns. I'm talking about Zion Williamson with the Pelicans. Certainly not predicting any great things for New Orleans. They might not even make the playoffs, but that's still a unique situation. And there's a lot of guys from there, the Wiggins thing, what if Wiggins does just come back in time and if he's in okay shape? That is going to be, game changers all over the place that should make the playoffs fun. And I'm with you about the last couple of weeks. Of course, I wish we had it all season long, but even last night, man, you got Sabonis has been playing with a broken thumb for 2.5 months. Giannis his hand injury is not a small thing. Like, he's hurting. If you notice last night, that man does not typically dunk with his left hand. He dunked with his left hand all night until the fourth quarter. And I talked to him after it about it too. Like, he's not feeling good, but he's still playing through. And they even had a fight for the fans, like a good old fashioned '80s fight. So yeah, it's been fun basketball.
No doubt. Mike Brown said they're not going to take any stuff. By the way, when Sacramento hosts that first playoff game, it's going to be wild. 30 seconds or less. How wild would that be? You're from up there, as you mentioned, Sam. You live up there. That fan base has been waiting for the playoffs for so long. What is it, 16 years of counting? It's going to be insane up there when they host that first round game.
Yeah, man, I was the Kings beat writer last time they made the playoffs, and now I feel like a historian. Like, I was there. Like, it was a very long time ago. It'll be wild. It'll be fun. I keep talking to outsiders, out-of-towners who come in to get their read on, like, is this arena actually, like, as lit as people think it is? And our guy, Eric Name, covers the Bucks. Last night was like, Sam, like, I've been all over the league this season. He's like, this place is crazy loud, And I know we got to go, but our buddy Mark Spears from Anscape tweeted the other day, I know this is sacrilege 100%, but he called it the new Oracle.
Yeah, he's got to chill. He's got to chill.
I was like, what is going on here? So it's a pretty good environment for sure.
No doubt. Kitty Caraway, Damian Barley, the rest of the crew up there second. Well, you guys are going to be insufferable once they make the playoffs. Sam, always good stuff, man. See you when you come back to Chase. Always good to have you on the roast.
All right, boys. Appreciate you. Have a good
Anytime. Appreciate you. Sam Amick, one of the best out there, National NBA insider. I love Sam. He's been the same dude since day one. Took me, we talk about guys who've been mentors. Sam always lended an ear. During the pandemic, we would talk over the phone, just swapping stories, man. Sam is a good dude, man, and he does a lot of good work. Can't wait for that Giannis feature because the Milwaukee Bucks are selling. I don't know if you knew this. Yeah. Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Cleveland